All right, so I just got back from watching Flight Risk, the latest film from Mel Gibson, believe it or not. It's been almost, well, it has been 9 years since his last film, Hacksaw Ridge. And I have to say, this movie, Flight Risk, doesn't seem like the type of movie Mel Gibson would make. I don't know if he, wasn't, getting any offers or whatever, but, he's made Braveheart, Apocalypto, Passion of the Christ, Hacksaw Ridge, and one other that I forget, and they're all like these big bombastic history epics. Yeah, and then you get this, which is a sort of a small, contained, single location thriller about a hitman for the mob taking over, hijacking a plane because there's a guy who is going to be under witness protection who's going to testify against the mob, and he's trying to kill him, and then we get the situation. Doesn't seem like the type of movie Mel Gibson would make. So I was curious. Maybe this was a passion project. I don't know. And the movie is extremely underwhelming because it's supposed to be a thriller, and I found it very, very unthrilling. It's basically just a lot of conversations, minimum action, and you can do a thriller with minimum action. But the problem is that the threat, who's played by Mark Wahlberg in this movie, and he does fine. Everybody acting in this movie does fine, except for one that I'll get to later. But Mark Wahlberg does fine. And he's playing our villain, our hitman. And he is in control of the situation, and our heroes are, out of control. I would say maybe 10% of the movie. And that's a problem because when he is the one who is at the mercy of our heroes for 90% of the film, there's no tension. Now, unless he's maybe playing mind games, maybe trying to work them against each other, but that never really happens. You think it might start to happen, but then they get over it pretty quickly, and then we move on. So there's no tension between our two heroes, and and they're not really ever in danger besides 10% of the movie. I mean, they don't know how to fly a plane, so there's danger in that, but that's definitely not as interesting as having a psycho killer in the same plane as you. And they do almost nothing with it. He he keeps talking crazy and, threatening he's going to come back and kill them and stuff like that. And he makes an attempt a couple times, but never does he seem in control. So I'm never really worried about our two main characters. And if you're doing a thriller, you have to be thrilled. You have to be on the edge of your seat. You have to be tense. And I was not feeling that at all. Frankly, I was kind of bored. So that's the biggest issue with the movie. I feel like it fails fundamentally as a thriller. The special effects are a bit shoddy as well, but that's not as big of a deal. The person who's going to testify against the mob is played by Topher Grace. And I haven't seen Topher Grace in a lot of stuff, but I have seen him in Spider-Man 3. He played the really bad version of Venom in that movie. And, people say he gets a bad rap, and he probably does, but he wasn't very good in that movie. It was a bad choice to play Venom. And here he's better, but his role is written way too comedic. He's cracking wise and making jokes almost the whole movie. And he didn't feel like a real person to me. He felt like some cartoon character in this weird scenario. If he was a bit more downplayed and they gave most of the jokes to Mark Wahlberg's character, that probably would have worked a bit better, because Mark Wahlberg is kind of he's making jokes as well, of a different variety than the jokes Topher Grace is making, but he's still making jokes. And so since you have these two funny guys and then this one straight woman, these two funny guys, it disrupts the balance, and it's cutting the tension, which you don't want to cut the tension in a thriller movie. So I don't know what we're doing here. So yeah, I don't have anything much to say besides that. The movie is just kind of disappointing. The trailer makes it seem like, Mark Wahlberg is a threat. He's not really a threat in this movie. Also, I'm not going to spoil it, but the way he's taken out is very underwhelming. Very, very underwhelming. So, kind of sums up the whole movie. Underwhelming. So, yeah, I don't know what we're doing here. I don't know why Mel Gibson made this movie, but hey, here it is. So, if you're interested, you can go ahead and check it out, but definitely not a recommendation from me.